Hello and welcome to our lecture number 28, Lockout and Tagout System, Week 9, Module 9. Myself, Dr. Ajay Kumar Gupta from Sri Rawatpura Sarkar University. Once again, I welcome all of you on SWAM course of Industrial Safety and Fire Safety Management. Lockout tagout is a safety protocol used in workplace to prevent the unexpected startup of machinery or equipment during maintenance or servicing, which could lead to accident and injuries. Here are some key points for the lecture. First is lockout and tagout definition. In this, we will see lockout is the process of physical locking out energy source to prevent them from beginning turned on, and tagout involve labeling and tagging equipment to communicate that it is being serviced and should not be operate. Second, we will see the purpose of lockout tagout. The primary goal of lockout tagout is to disable machinery and equipment during maintenance or servicing by isolating them from their energy source. This ensures the safety of workers and who are servicing the equipments. In third point, we will see type of energy source. Like machines can run on various form of energies such as electrical, hydraulical, pneumatics. Lockout tagout procedures apply to all these type of energy sources. In fourth, we will see lockout tagout equipments. Lockout devices commonly include padlocks, chains, valves, clamp. Tagout involves labeling the equipments to indicates the type of work being performed. In the fifth point, we will see lockout tagout programs. Facilities are required to have an energy control program that includes a written lockout tagout program. These programs outline procedures and employees training. In sixth, authorized employees. Only certain employees are authorized to install lockout tagout devices. They must understand energy sources, procedure and device used for energy control. In the seventh step, we will see lockout procedure. The steps of proper lockout procedure includes notifying necessary personnel, attaching locks devices to energy sources and testing the equipment to ensure it would operate. 8th point, we will see safety measures for different energy sources like electrical, hydraulic and pneumatic system. In ninth point, we will see special situations in which safety, that is lockout and tagout is necessary. Arc flashes, personal change during services, multi pulse pieces of equipment powered by the same energy source. 10th point, we will see release procedure, how we can release the lockout and tagout. When the machine work on locked out, complete proper lockout tagout release procedure must be followed to return it to services. Lecture video is crucial for educating employees about the importance of lockout tagout procedure and to ensure their safety when working with powered equipment and machinery. It emphasizes the importance of communication, proper equipment and following established procedure to prevent accident and injuries in the workplace. So, come to the first point, lockout and tagout definition. Introduction. powered equipment and machinery and make our job easier and help us to be more protective. The machines that we use can run on a number of different forms of energy. While this energy helps us to do things we could never to do by ourselves. Because of its great power, it could also be dangerous, and we need to do carefully when we work around it. For example, energy related injuries often occur when one person is working on equipment, someone else accidentally turn on the power, putting the equipments back into operation. To prevent situation like this for from occurring, and instruction has passed, that is lockout tagout regulation. In this course we will discuss these regulations and how they apply to work that you do. We will also illustrate the lockout tagout equipment and procedures you should use to safely set up, repair and maintenance power equipments. Purpose of lockout tagout. The idea behind lockout tagout is fairly simple. The object is to disable a machine while it being serviced by isolating it from a source of power or energy source, so it cannot injure anyone who is working on or around it. To do these locks tags and other mechanisms are placed on energy isolation devices such as electrical boxes and valves. The lockout steps shuts off or isolate the machine source of energy. Tagging the machines tells about people, the type of work that is being performed on the machine situations. Now come to the slide. What is tag out? The main cause of lockout tag out injuries. Tag out procedure should be used include repairing circuits, cleaning and lubricating parts, cleaning jammed machines, rebuilding equipments and performing machines setup, so that employees will know how to deal with these situations safely. The rule of lockout tagout regulations called for all facilities to implement an energy control program. This must include a written lockout tagout program. Step 2. Proper lockout tagout procedure consists of two major components: lockout tagout procedure for all the powered equipment and machinery in the facilities, and a plan for training employees on these procedures. Are many types of lockout devices that can used to isolate a piece of equipment from its energy source. The most common are padlocks, chains and valve clamps. More specialized devices such as wedges and pins are often used with hydraulic and pneumatic system. Tagout devices provides visual warning that works is being performed on a machine or piece of equipment. The tags indicates the people who are working on the machine and can also indicate why the equipment is out of service. Remember, tags only provide information along, they cannot secure energy isolation device. So they should be used with locks whenever possible. If you are involved in activity requiring lockout tagout procedures, your employer will provide the locks, tags and other devices you will need. These must be identified as lockout tagout devices. Only they cannot be used for any other function, may not be shared with any other workers. You should also never use non-designated devices for lockout tagout. For instance, you should not take a padlocks for a locker or toolbox and use it to lock out and electrical panel lockout tagout devices must be easy to identify and durable enough to stand up to any harsh conditions they are likely to be exposed to. Finally, locks must be difficult to remove so they cannot be taken off by accidentally. Only certain employees in your facility will be authorized to install lockout tagout devices. These employees must be able to recognize hazards, energy sources as well as the type and amount of energy associated with each one. They must also be aware of the procedures and devices that are used to control these energy sources. Other people who work with or around the machine and equipments that are serviced in lockout tagout situation are designed to by OJAS are affected employees, since they may be affected by the work that is being done. These employees needs to understand the purpose of your facilities, energy control procedure and how they are used, and they are being informed whenever lockout tagout works is being done in their work area. Affected employees are not, however, permitted to restart or re-energized machine once they have been locked out. When a piece of equipment need to be locked out, you can proceed with locking out and tagging the machine's energy sources. You should use the lockout tagout machines mechanisms that are designed for the energy isolation devices such as electrical panel circuits, breakers and valves that you are working with. Some facilities stores all lockout tagout equipments in a central location, and there may be lockout tagout logs in which authorized employees must sign the devices in and out. The procedures you will need to follow will be described in your facilities writing lockout tagout program. As you work, be sure to follow your company's standard operating procedures. Consult your energy control programs guidelines as needed. the most common type of energy use to power equipped are electrical, hydraulic, hydraulic and pneumatic energies. Each of them can exist in two stages. Active and stored. Active means that the energy is actually being used like electricity. Turning a motor. Stored means that the energy is waiting to be used like the electric charge in a battery. Used like the electric charge in a battery or capacitor after you complete your initial lockout tagout procedures. You may need to dispatch energy that is still stored in the machine that you are working on. How you do this will dependent on the type of system you are dealing with. There are a number of techniques you can use for hydraulic or pneumatic equipments. You may have to adjust the valves or install blinds in piping to stop fluid from moving within the system. Electrical systems may regular grounding to drain off stored electricity. Various types of equipment may require you to release spring tension or dispatch extreme hot and cold temperatures as well. After getting rid of any residual energy, you may still have to block off part of the machine that could move while you are working and install additional lockout tagout mechanism to complete the lockout of the system. Once you have performed all of our lockout tagout and energy dispatch, performed all of your lockout tagout and energy dissipation procedure, you should test the machine to make sure that it would not operate for electrical systems. You may first want to use a voltmeter to double check that no electricity is flowing. Next, press all the start button and throw all the switches and lever that would normally be used to activate the equipment. After you have determined that your lockout procedure are working, return all of the switches to their off position in most suitable work can done being on the equipment you are servicing in some special situation. Additional procedures must be followed when locking and tagging out a machine. One of the most important of these occurs if you have a personal change during the time the equipment is being serviced. In the situation, it is important to maintain continuously of responsibly first personal for from the new incoming shift must install their lockout tagout devices. Then the locks and tags that were installed by the departing work shift should be removed. Other special situation arise when multiple pieces of equipment are powered by the same energy sources and or when the pieces of equipment you were working on is linked to the other requirements. Here, supervisors should be connected before any lockout tagout work is performed. Another special situations occurs when a system must stay on while it is being serviced because the functioning of the equipment is essential to the facility's normal operation. Against you need to consult your supervisor. If you encounter one of these while they do not normally occurs with 120-volt system. If you are working with high voltage, you need to be aware of the possibility of an arc flash. Arc flashes occur when a short circuit has created between 2 points where electricity is being conducted, or between one point of electricity and the ground. Arc flashes can be extremely dangerous. They are essentially exposed and in additionally to the force of the blast itself produce instant heat and often a shotgun like spray of molten metals as well. Arc flashes can be caused by a number of things including accidents, contact with live parts or wires, having an object that conducts electricity like a metal tool comes into close proximity to a high or high end source or currents. Sparks generally by opening breakers or replacing fuse. Metal tools comes into close proximity to a high end source of current. Sparks generated by opening breakers or replacing fuse, insulating the built-up of corrosion on electrical terminals, and fumes or chemical vapors in the air that facilitates conducting electricity. Energy source control panel and other equipments where the risks of an arc flash exists are often marked with specific warning levels. So be sure to look for them wherever you are going. An electrical lockout. If you see an arc flash warning, consult your supervisor to determine the proper procedures for working on the system. Another special situation occur if the partner's systems should be used when you are performing lockout tagout procedures, particularly when the power source is not in sight of the operating proper portion of the machinery. In this situation, one person works on locking out the power while the partner absorbs and tests the machinery. They are also timings where a group of people works together on a locked or tag out machines. In this case, lockout tagout devices that are designed to permit more than one workers to simultaneously lock out the same power sources must be used. Each authorized employee must have fixed their own lockout and tagout to this group lockout tagout devices. If a number of groups are going to be working on the same machine, one employee can be authorized to represent each groups outside personally, such as contractor can also become involved in lockout tagout operation. If contractor personnels are working in the facilities, representative needs to inform them of any lockout tagout activities that are going on which could affect them. If the contractors themselves are performing lockout tagouts work, they must inform facilities representatives of their lockout tagout activity once the work of the logged out machine is completed. Proper lockout tagout release procedure must be followed to return it to service. First, you need to remove all the non-essential tools and other materials from around the machines. Next, clear any affected employees from the immediate area. Then you should check to make sure that the machine is ready to operate. This include verifying there is not load on any electrical circuits. Each employee who installed a lockout tagout device on the machine must be personally remove the devices in emergency situations. Management personnel can be authorized to remove a device, but only when the original employee is unavailable and cannot be easily recalled. When this happened, the employees who logged was removed must be told why the logs was removed before he resumed his work. Once all the lockout tagout devices has been removed, the equipment should be tested, run. If you cannot start the equipment and verify that is functioning correctly from the location where the lockout tagout devices have been installed. You should use the partner system for this testing device. Some lockout tagout procedure such as equipment is going through a prolonged shutdown for building or major maintenance situation can arise where a machine must be temporarily restarted. In this case, this temporary startup should be handled exactly as a normal release and restart first. Lock out tag out devices are removed and the release procedure is followed. The machine is then restart once the temporary restart has been accomplished. Normally, procedures must again be followed to reassure the lockout tagout devices and isolate the machine energy sources at the completion of any type of lockout tagout procedures. The logs and tags that has been used must be returned to their homes. They should be also signed in the lockout tagout log if one is being used. Now that we have taken a look at the general lockout tagout procedure in some special situations that we may encounter, let's look at the some of the rules for performing lockout tagout on specific type of power system. When you are working with electrical system, remember the object of lockout tagout is to eliminate the electricity that normally flow the equipments that is being serviced. The specific steps you need to take for each pieces of equipment in your facility will be spelled out in your facility written lockout tagout program, but there are some general principles that should always be followed no matter what machines you are working on. First, identify all the equipment's energy sources, set of the equipment and its points of operation before discontinuing it. Be careful, explosions can occur when power is disconnected while lines are under load. The switch is on. The most switch boxes or panels are located on the right hand sides to cut the power stand to the right of the switch box. Turn your head always from the box away from the box and use your left hand. Remove the switch to the off position, then use a padlock and tag and appropriate lockout tagout procedure to isolate the energy sources. Remember, most boxes have two places that you can attach a lock. One will lock the box shut while the other will lock the power off. Make sure that you put your locks on the correct one. Some equipment may require you to remove fuses. In these cases, it is not enough to just pull the fuse out of the box. The box must be also locked and tagged. If you find out that you cannot use standard lockout devices on a fuse box, consult our supervisor. If there is more than one source of electric power to a machine, it may be easier or necessary to lock out a main panel. Once locked out, tag out procedure has been accomplished on the electrical system, you should try to start and operate the equipment you locked out has been done correctly. You should see any movement. You also need to test the circuit with a voltmeter. Similar devices does not forget if there are capacitors integrated into the electric system. They may contain, ये मैं ख्याल से फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूँ क्या ये सब. Similarly, devices do not forget if there are capacitors integrated into the electric system. They may contain storage electricity charges. In this case, you need to ground the capacitors before starting your work. Performing lockout tagout on hydraulic and pneumatic equipments is different than doing it on electrical machinery. With this type of system, lockout tagout usually involve pipes and valves. In these situations, the hazard is the potential high pressure release of steam gas, hydraulic fluids and other liquids. To lock out these systems, you typically need to use a padlock and chain or some type of valve clamp to make sure that the valve cannot be turned. Once these devices are in place, you can install the tag. Remember, just like stored electricity, existing pressure in hydraulics and pneumatic line can also be hazardous, so you should bleed any pressurized lines before being worked. Pipe divider scaled bleedings are useful when you are working with the particular complex hydraulic system. Bleedings enable you to segment the system, then you can bleed one section at a time. This provides the best protection in this situation. A good way to test the effectiveness of your lockout on hydraulics and pneumatic system is to look for downstream valves that you can crack to see if any pressure is still existing. There is one additional precaution that should also be taken when you are working with hydraulics or pneumatic equipments. These systems often include having more parts. During lockout, you need to make sure that they cannot slip because of the nature of the equipment. These parts can often be affected by vibrations formed nearby vehicle traffic or other machine operations. Wedge blocks or pins can be used to secure moving parts. On this situation, you may also need to physically isolate lockout hydraulics and pneumatic machinery to make sure that their moving parts are not locked free. By passing from knife or other equipment, barricades or other device can be used to help limit this type of traffic. In some cases, you can even need to arrange for the shutdown of nearby machinery. Lockout tagout is essential when you are working on most equipment and machinery. Remember these basics. You need to identify all of the energy sources for the equipment you are working on. Each workers must attach their own lockout tagout devices at a power source. Equipment and systems must be tested after locks and tags are in place. The person removing the last locks device must secure that the works on the machine is completed and that is safe to operate. Common sense communications and a good knowledge of lockout tagout procedure, these are the key to everyone safety when you are working on power equipments. Last, for lockout and tagout, thank you for listening and learning the lockout and tagout procedure. Thank you.